Hello, welcome to Newgen TV. I'm your host, Runki Goswami, Chief Marketing Officer at Newgen. Well, Newgen TV is all about taking you through interesting topics with illustrious panels, of course. Our last episode was about banking, and today we are going to dive deep into insurance. There's a lot that's happening in the space, and I yet again have an illustrious panel, and I stick to this word, illustrious. And joining me today here on Newgen TV in the studio is Rohit Makhijani. You are our guest speaker and principal analyst at Forrester. You also advise carriers on strategy and digital transformation. Well, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And Anurag, you're of course a vice president and head of insurance practice at Newgen Software. Of course, needless to mention, you have a deep experience with helping North American insurers modernize. And I'll come back on this word, modernize. So on this note, North American insurers are at a crossroad. Rising climate events are driving unprecedented claim volumes. Healthcare and life carriers are under pressure to personalize coverage. Auto and commercial insurers are grappling with fraud and compliance. Across the board, the challenge is the same. How do you deliver journeys that build trust while managing complexity at scale? Well, for most carriers, the customer journey still breaks between policy and administration systems, claims platforms, and contact centers. AI has been tried. And optical character recognition, OCR, pilot here and there, a chatbot here and there. But without orchestration, the impact rarely goes beyond a single use case. The opportunity we have here is to make AI the connective tissue on the enterprise. So let's dive into this topic about reimagining customer insurance journeys with AI. And let's get started. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, now how this works is that I've got a set of questions from our listeners. I'm going to take you through those questions, and of course you're here to enlighten me and of course our listeners on the subject. So, okay, so Rohit, let's start with you. Why do you think AI in insurance is still disconnected? The question that I have here is that you've seen how insurers are adopting AI. Why do most of them still struggle to move beyond pilot solutions?
So, Runki, first of all, AI has the potential to be quite transformative across the insurance value chain. However, what I oftentimes find is that carriers perhaps are not asking the right question. The question that often gets asked is, how can I use AI? How can I deploy AI in my enterprise? Right? They're trying to fit AI in an existing set of operations, as opposed to asking the question the other way around as to what is the business problem that's out there that I should go out and solve. So this construct of sort of AI looking for a problem to solve is, I think, one of the sort of primary reasons why we see some of this disjointedness that we're seeing out there. And what this is creating is this fundamental gap between the industry's investments, the insurance industry's investments in AI, and the actual realization of the potential of the enterprise-wide change that AI can really instigate to make a transformative difference. And the result of all of this is that we end up with this ecosystem of disjointed projects, disjointed pilots. You might have a chatbot over here. You might have AI being used for OCR purposes to digitize claim forms over there. Risk models on the underwriting side, which can only go so far. There's a regulatory element to all of that, and we can come back to that. Each of these things is working in its own corner, but these elements are not connected. And so carriers are then unable to truly leverage the potential of AI and what it can unlock for their enterprise. What carriers need is a thoughtful enterprise-level AI strategy.
Okay, but do you think AI is still disconnected? Because there's a lot of questioning around that. I definitely get to ask questions to senior people, and also get questions from viewers and others asking us about the disconnected nature of AI. Do you think it's actually there, this disconnection that AI causes, or?
There's certainly a disconnected, I use the term sort of this disjointedness as we look at the enterprise. Some of it is because we're still early in the journey, which really paints an opportunity of what the future has to hold. But the challenge that we see today is rooted in a combination of technology, organization, culture, and regulation to a certain degree as well. The most significant technical barrier is the state of existing IT infrastructure. So first of all, we've got across the P&C insurance ecosystem, in most cases there is a fragmented ecosystem. Policy administration systems, claims management systems, servicing platforms. These don't talk to each other. Just historically, these have been treated as separate business units, and the evolution of the platforms that support these have been somewhat organic. And so when we try to juxtapose AI on top of this sort of fragmented, already fragmented ecosystem, it proves to be a headwind. Many of these systems are legacy, particularly policy administration and claims management systems, and they are not inherently designed to easily communicate with other systems, let alone modern AI tools. The second, and I'd add one of the most critical pieces, the reasons why AI is still disconnected, is data. AI models require large volumes of clean, consistent, high-quality, structured data. You have to treat data almost as the fuel that powers AI. And in many P&C companies, data is fragmented across multiple disconnected systems and even functional departments, right? So there's a sort of a non-technical component to this, which is contributing to the state of data, which is quite foundational to the success of AI projects. So this fragmented data is often inconsistent, it's incomplete, or of poor quality, which can then cause AI initiatives to fail or even stall right at the pilot stage. Mm-hmm. So the third thing is this pilot mentality, right? The pilot mindset, where there's just so much experimentation that is happening. Many carriers test AI in small use cases, but never scale beyond proof of concept. And in order to go past this stage, it requires a level of commitment, which in certain cases, there is an element of being shied away from. Third is a lack of orchestration. So AI, is deployed as a tool, not as part of an end-to-end journey, and this creates duplication, inconsistent decisions, and ultimately customer frustration. Again, the picture I'm trying to paint here is that of this fabric, which is quite fragmented, and it's quite complex. It sits at a multitude of layers, both across people, process, and technology. Now, there are also regulatory and risk barriers at play, compliance, explainability concerns. They tend to slow down enterprise-wide rollouts, and ownership. Right, from a stakeholder ownership perspective, underwriting, claims, service teams, they often pursue very separate initiatives with separate goals, which then leads to a strategy, an AI strategy that is not so unified. In essence, Runki, AI is disconnected because it is often being layered on top of antiquated, fragmented business processes and systems, rather than being used to fundamentally rewire and unify the enterprise. Successful carriers will move past pilots and integrate AI with clean, centralized a centralized data foundation, and more importantly, a comprehensive strategy around AI initiatives.
Interesting. Okay, and so Anurag, when I was introducing you, I literally harped on the word modernize, right? And AI is all about modernizing, and you had the insurance practice at Newgen, and you are also in the field, you deal with customers directly. So what would you want to add? You just now heard Rohit talking about this entire segment here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just add few more points. Rohit talked about most of the relevant stuffs. In my working with North American insurance carriers here, what I have seen is it is not that whether AI works. Instead, whether AI works in an orchestrated way, in an end-to-end journey way, and those kind of things I have seen being the most important aspect of AI. Because if you see, the insurance carriers have been doing certain parts of AI in certain areas, like Rohit talked about different business units, policy, claims, underwriting. They all are set up like different, almost like different line of business. They have their own systems. So for example, the intake and the mailroom and intake function will have content intake. It will extract certain data. It will classify certain document types, identify using AI. Similarly, if you look into the underwriting, they may have some predictive modeling in AI, limited again to underwriting function. For claims, maybe it is about certain document identification and those things. Maybe chatbot for the contact center. But all of these sit in isolation. And why do they sit in isolation? Because the underlying core systems or the business applications which are employed and deployed for these functions are not connected with each other. So claims has its own claim system, underwriting has its own underwriting system, policy issuance, servicing has maybe access to multiple systems, because whether the servicing is being done on claims or policy or some another service request. So all of these are scattered. And when these systems and applications were built, those were not designed to talk to each other to begin with. And today when we look at AI actually starts working in these applications because the AI has to take certain data, certain content, certain context, certain perspective, and work on that. And on the other hand, if you look at the insurers who are trying to do this AI, whether it is CIO's office or COO's office, their organizations are trying, like Rohit again said, pilot mindset. So they're trying to do something in a piecemeal basis on a localized and small function, or maybe a subset of a function, without thinking that whether it will have any impact or it will not have any impact to downstream and upstream processes, to other applications who are either consuming certain output from one application or giving certain output to the other application. So those aspects are not being thought of, in this so-called pilot mindset. And then if you So what that also results into is you start getting and you start delivering and you start getting those great demonstrations in that localized space, but it doesn't start scaling out enterprise-wide, and in the process it doesn't deliver that or it doesn't solve the problem in totality. Maybe it is solving part of the problem, but not in totality. And so what we now see, what we now recommend, or what I have seen these insurers also trying to grapple with is trying to take a shift, trying to go towards not looking at AI as a scattered tool, but AI as an orchestration layer, which can connect these journeys end to end, starting from you look at your customer, your policyholder, you look at your external constituents like partners, your vendors, your agents, let's say if it is a claims, then you have got your body shops. If it is an auto claim, body shops, you have surveyors, you have adjudicators. So all of these are internal and external constituents participate in so-called this journey. So now these insurance carriers have started realizing, and when in my conversation it has started coming prominently, that yes, we need to look at a journey view. We need to see where AI can do certain things and give an intelligent output to a knowledge worker, and reduce my time of the knowledge worker for non-core activities which AI can do. So those are the things which I see here in North American insurers in line with, in fact, what Rohit explained.
So Anurag, on that note, well, I've been hearing both of you. And interestingly, both of you mentioned POC and pilot. And I'm pretty sure it's not just me, but also our viewers, our listeners would want to know the thick line or the thin line that differentiates a POC from a pilot. And is there anything above and beyond a POC or a pilot? Please enlighten me. Whoever wants to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could just expound on certain things that I talked about earlier, and then maybe Rohit can add there. See, when we are looking at those isolated, localized AI so-called experimentations, generally those are limited to, or generally those can be referred as proof of concepts, as demonstrations, which gives you kind of a promise that yes, this is something you can take up. Mm-hmm. But instead of getting limited in that one scope, in that one localized scope, or in that one specific LOB, when you start thinking about making it live in production, either we call it pilot, so that you can test it on a small scale, on a small data, or we call it, we sometimes refer to these kind of initiatives also as MLP, minimum lovable product, what you love to do. But in that, you should have a horizon to think that, fine, I'm going ahead with pilot with a limited data set, limited maybe user set, stakeholder set, but I know that when it starts getting implemented at, let's say, in a claims orchestration or in a policy issuance orchestration, it will connect either downstream or upstream with certain applications, with certain user personas, external constituents like customers, policyholders, agents, my third-party partners, and it will have an impact on the way data and content are consumed by this AI function, as well as the result that is producing, how those will be provided to other applications and functions. When you start thinking about that, that's when it starts becoming orchestration thought. While you started with a localized demo and POC, and you are going ahead with a pilot, but if you start thinking into that process, that customer journey view, that's when it starts giving you scale.
If we can build on that, around sort of your question around sort of the key difference between POC and pilot, the way we like to think about POCs are more, the objective there for a POC is to identify the business value of a certain solution. Mm-hmm. And POC, as the name suggests, typically there's a pretty low cost involved, and if there's a vendor in the mix, they might also make an investment to prove business value. Pilot is typically when you go past that POC and you are now sort of starting to get real users on the system. And the core objective of a pilot then is to get user feedback and user input into the use of the solution.
Okay, so pilot is important, I would say. POC, would you advise if any insurer is coming to you, and you're probably talking to so many such insurers, that's what the subject you deal with. So what would you advise, like to get a POC done, or to straight away move into pilot, which then gets into the production mode?
The real answer is it depends. It depends on the use case. It depends on the technology solution. Oftentimes, POC is a good gateway into particularly if you're talking about things within the context of something new, such as AI, POC may be a good way to get in and prove the value of a certain solution.
Yeah. Well, this discussion can just go on. Anurag, you were saying
just
something.
one quick point. Generally, what I have seen when I work with these insurers here in North America is that because this is a new technology and almost emerging and evolving on a daily, weekly basis, so it helps when they are doing this POC. They are trying to see that yes, it kind of is serving the purpose, it kind of giving me an output that I'm looking for, which kind of creates an internal business case, ROI on all of those things that yes, let's go ahead with the pilot and let's now test it.
Okay. Well, that helps. Now, coming back to the point that you were talking about, Anurag, it was about some unseen costs of fragmented journeys. You left me with a lingering thought on fragmented journeys and all. So let's double click on that. So when journeys are fragmented, what's the business impact that you've seen? And you probably hear, you've been asked a lot about similar things from clients. What do you recommend? What is the pitch that you give for Newgen rather?
Well, I mean, let's take an example. For example, if it's an auto claim in a PNC carrier, and if you look at the complete, I talked about the journey, right? The orchestration and everything. But if you look at that complete journey of an auto claim, starting from the first notice of loss all the way to the adjudication and settlement, whether it gets approved, denied, and settled, if you look at all of these, there are multiple dots which kind of connect with certain content and data being sourced, gathered from outside. There are multiple stakeholders, internal as well as external, who are either consuming those data and content or producing certain thing. And I'll take a few examples. So for example, if you look at from the time the content is taken as an intake, which could involve different shapes and forms of the content, like let's see if there was this Uber or Lyft driver who kind of submitted this dash cam video of the accident, unfortunate incident. The video could be 20-30 minutes depending on what they took from the dash cam and uploaded, but the relevant portion within that video could only be 5 to 10 seconds, which will be impactful in your claim adjudication. But when you take that video and keep it as it is, and it starts moving from one stakeholder to another, a surveyor to adjudicator to settlement, everybody starts going through that complete 20 to 30 minutes, it's just a wastage of time. If you look at AI, and AI can identify that within this video, these are the 10 seconds which you should do. And if AI can somehow bookmark it with certain application or underlying application and give that as an intelligent input to these constituents, these stakeholders, this would just improve their entire productivity, efficiency gain and everything. And this will cut down on those non-core activities. Save their expensive time and those things. It helps in expediting your settlement. It helps in avoiding inconsistent decisions and reducing the error rates, those kind of things, Okay.
So Rohit, from a Forrester lens, how would you want to capture this entire thing about unseen costs of fragmented journeys?
So this is a really important topic, Runki, that you bring up. We at Forrester, we do a lot of research on customer experience, and these unseen pieces that you're talking about as a result of the fragmented nature of the overall experience ultimately leads to poor customer experience. Right. You add that to the fact that we're talking, this is within the context of the insurance space. Insurance, as it is, given the high rate environment that we have been in, is sort of victim to being an industry where customers, as it is, don't see as much value for the price that they pay for the protection solution, protection product that they are getting. And so the fragmented experiences lead to poorer customer experience, they lead to sort of a lack of trust in customers. And then, what we haven't addressed so far is the role of the intermediary. A substantial chunk of insurance is distributed through intermediary distribution partners, brokers, MGAs, agents, and this sort of fragmented experience also leads to a poor agent experience, a poor intermediary experience. There are often times where a broker or an agent will decide to work with a carrier because they have a better experience, even though they might have a higher price for the same protection solution. So that's really the impact of it. So the unseen cost, really I would summarize that as twofold. Like one is customer attrition. The second is distributor, agent, partner dissatisfaction, and this sort of transcends into other ecosystem partners as well. Both of them, both of those elements translate and directly impact growth. That is why this construct of unification, having a unified strategy, and we're talking about AI here, even having a singular AI strategy that becomes a connectivity tissue, like you called out earlier, is just so critical.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Now let's talk a little about the call center intelligence. It's mostly the overlooked frontier, or overlooked AI frontier rather. While most insurers focus their AI efforts on underwriting or claims automation, the call center continues to be where customer emotions, trust, retention are won or either lost. So yet many of these centers still rely on manual note-taking, rule-based escalation, and disconnected CRMs. So Anurag, how can AI transform this frontline engagement piece?
Yes, that's a great question and topic. In fact, the contact centers are a kind of nerve center for the organization, because that's where your moments of truths are being captured, processed, and what you do in that moment of engagement with your customers is what drives your customer, what we call customer experience, brand equity, and customer retention, all of those things. So we have deployed solutions for the contact center where we have used AI in these kind of solutions to deliver certain aspects. I'd like to call out 3 of those. First, the call summaries are being generated so that, you talked about manual note-taking, so that those call center agents are not spending time in keying in what they have to key. Focus on what customer is saying, listen to that, respond to that, look at the knowledge base, look at the repository, refer it, instead of trying to note down what customer is saying so that it can be recorded, it can be referred later. Let AI do those things. That's number 1. Number 2 is detecting live sentiment. When the customer is either talking to you on a phone or using social media to interact with you, engage with you, is it positive connotation, negative connotation, neutral? Is the customer angry, frustrated, happy? Can you identify those sentiment? Can you detect it? And then use that to alert your, let's say, supervisors or your managers to take certain corrective, preventive, and whatever action has to be taken. And the third is, when you are in a live engagement, be it through call, through video, through social chat, or whatever it is, when you are in live engagement, can AI help to give you that intelligent prompts, guidance, that you may want to think this thing while you are still in a conversation with your customer? Can that guidance be utilized? And because oftentimes when I'm talking, so right now when we're talking, maybe there are 10 more ideas which can come to my mind later, and which I would think that I should have spoken to this when Runki asked me this, but if there was an AI which keeps me prompting, hey, do you want to use this? that helps. That makes me more intelligent. That makes me more empathetic for my customer, and all of those things. And see, one of the commercial PNC carrier that I worked with kind of saved almost 40% of reduction in the call resolution time, and about 20-22% jump in the customer satisfaction scores and those kind of things.
Well, that was great, Anurag. So I don't know if I'm digressing, but then when we talk about the call center piece, how do we connect dots with this word which is agentic, which is so much in vogue? Because the moment you think about call center agents, the question is also, are they like human agents, or is it something, or they are AI agents, or whether you should use the word agentic over there? Because there's so much about agentic insurance journeys also that we hear. So Rohit, you're dealing with this day in and day out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so certainly the future of AI, and we're starting to see some of this play out as well, has a lot to do with agentic, right? And in its more simple terms, you may think, there's a bunch of people in the engine room that are connecting the dots and really creating a certain experience for the customer. But really the best way to think about it in AI terms is that agentic AI isn't simply automating tasks, but it is reasoning across data. It is adapting to context, and it's ultimately assisting humans in making complex decisions. It is not rule-based. It's dynamic. It is constantly learning. It's also explainable, and it's auditable. So let me sort of touch on some real examples here, right? In auto insurance, for example, an AI agent can triage an accident claim end to end, analyze the situation, identify fraud, even suggest a fast track to settling the claim, all the way through even providing a rental car on the spot to the insured, the claimant. In other PNC type, catastrophe type claim use cases, if there is a weather event that is occurring, and if it has just made landfall, an AI agent can ingest all of this data, managed claims, look at the previous claims volumes, and then suggest certain actions to create a much more sort of a frictionless experience for customers. So ultimately, the value isn't just faster outcomes. It is smarter. It's contextual. It is baked in sort of this trusted decision making that aligns risk, compliance, and customer experience.
Okay. Now, coming back to the point that we were talking about, the call center piece, which is usually the overlooked AI frontier, and you very interestingly spoke about a Newgen case study where you saw, where on commercial PNC carrier, you saw 40% reduction in call resolution time and a 20% jump in customer satisfaction. And it was just within a few months of adopting an AI-powered call center intelligence. So on that note, Rohit, what are you seeing across the industry, and is this really becoming a frontier for AI?
Yeah, so we're certainly seeing the use of AI becoming more pervasive in contact centers. This is a low friction use case, and it's showing value through really impactful, measurable operational efficiency outcomes. A smooth underwriting process obviously is really important. Faster claims, extremely critical. But the contact center really is a front to all of the key pieces that an insured engages with when it comes to engaging with their clients. It's where they talk to their insurance company, whether it's a positive experience, it is something that they're frustrated about, and it's a way to formulate a connection in an industry where engagement as it is not very high. Even our research on CX very clearly shows that resolving problems for customers, resolving issues quickly through customer experience, customer service journeys is the most important driver of CX in insurance. It's also the most important driver for customer satisfaction overall. And again, I can't stress enough, contact centers are the gateway to that. And so, and the other aspect to all of this is the speed at which you can resolve issues. And so speed-related drivers also make up amongst the top 5 drivers of our insurance-specific CX index. And so, things like summarization, intelligent routing, real-time coaching of agents. Through these, insurers are not only saving costs because it's creating operational efficiency, lowering costs, whether it's through sort of the inputs inclusive of time. Through this, they're also creating a very positive customer experience, which then goes to retention and protecting the brand. And all of this is even more critical in the current hard market environment that we are in, where there is just so much shopping and switching going on. And so, the use of technology to lower costs and to create a positive experience, through the gateway, which is the contact center, is just so critical.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so on this note, let's bring in our correspondent in New Delhi. We have our subject matter expert, Shantanu, who heads the Insurance Center of Excellence from India, and let's hear him as to what he has to say on this subject.
Thanks, Runki. I'm joining you from New Delhi. And what you see in North America is exactly what we are seeing here as well. AI only creates real value when it is woven into the entire journey, not just plugged into a single step. Now, let me bring that to life with a commercial property insurance example. These are some of the most complex risks to underwrite, including large factories, warehouses, and office parks. Every submission comes with bulky engineering report, inspection notes, and risk surveys. Traditionally, underwriters would spend hours going through hundreds of pages, then manually matching findings to policy clauses and deciding what to exclude. It's a slow, inconsistent, and heavily dependent on individual experience. So now what we are seeing is AI agents acting as underwriting co-pilots to these underwriters. So basically what they do is to ingest engineering reports, classify the content, and extract key risk indicators, including fire safety gaps, spatial hazards, construction type, and occupancy details. And then they map those insights to policy wordings and recommend exclusions, conditions, or pricing levers for the underwriters to review and approve. So in one career program we have been tracking, this has cut manual reviews to almost 50%. The impact is clear. Quotes go out faster. Decisions are more consistent and explainable. Underwriters spend more time on judgment instead of paperwork. And when the same intelligence connects with servicing and claims as well, you start to get end-to-end transparent journeys that you've been discussing in the studio, from first submission to policy issuance and beyond. So the signal is simple. AI has moved from co-pilot to production, acting as a real partner to underwriters in helping carriers deliver faster, smarter, and more trusted experiences. Back to you in the studio, Runki.
Well, Shantanu, that was great, and thank you for being with us today. On this note, let's take a break and let's resume this in a second or a different episode. There's a lot that's happening in this insurance space, and I'm pretty sure we have a lot to talk on the subject. And especially, let's look into the next episode where we dive straight into AI in action, which goes beyond automation. So stay with us. See you in the next episode.